Okay. We're so weird.
Here we go. Ready? And.
And every day
I will
sing my song
for
peace on earth
that we might
get along.
and
Every night
we might
close our eyes with our arms open wide. Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
You guys, thank you so much for being here again for our third episode of One World, One People, a musical revolution. My name is Janissa De Castro, and I'm a singer, actor, dancer, and teacher, and my goal in life is to change the world through my art.
My name is Gregg Decastro. I'm a teacher, singer, songwriter, and a proud citizen of the planet Earth. And my music is all about that. Let me tell you a little bit about our show. Each week we feature guests from around the world and we talk about issues that are important to all of us. And we also have the opportunity to feature my original songs each week.
Indeed, because as we all know, music is the universal language.
That's right.
So together we are finding common grounds.
Yeah.
And in addition, each episode will be taking donations, and 20% of those donations will be going to a different charity, organization, or foundation for each episode.
Yes.
And you'll be able to find the donation link in the description below. So make sure you click on it because today's organization is Recording Academy MusiCares. MusiCares provides a safety net of critical assistance for music people in times of need.
And today's song is Someone's Got to Play the Music. It's a humorous look at the magical effects of the language of music. And
Today's guest is Mr. Harvey Estrada.
Bassist and music professor at Compton College.
Today we talk about the importance of music. We're talking about all instruments, all genres, all modes of expression. And in this crazy time, music is especially important. Something we've found to be incredibly healing is the power of singing.
Hello, everybody. You know, I woke up this morning feeling like, I imagine like a lot of folks, these are tough times. There's so much anxiety, so much uncertainty, so much worry. First thing in the day, you know. Fortunately, I know that it just takes a slight shift in perspective to move back into the positive and turn things into a productive day, a productive moment in life, you know. The way I do it, I shift my perspective with song. Moments can't be counted with seconds on the clock. The breath of life's not measured by ticky tock. I sit here in my studio and look out the window and this morning, what did I see? My vision might be blurry. I still see it all somehow. With a graceful, easy rhythm. My perfect future's now. You know, I saw the wind. I saw a tranquil breeze. I saw the breath of the sweet earth mother. And she was singing in the branch of every tree. She was ringing through the chimes that hang on the eaves of my home. She was giving song to the wings of the hummingbird. And it's all so clear somehow. My perfect future's now. And it's all That's the feeling I get from song. I'd like to invite you. I'd like to invite all of you. Add your voice, add your harmony to the song of life. Now. And now introducing Mr. Harvey Estrada.
So Harvey, we're so excited excited that you're here with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm here, and it's my pleasure.
Yes.
Hey, looking sharp today too.
I know. Your video looks so good. So Harvey, we know that you are a bass player in the music industry. I was figuring, just as an introduction for our audiences, you could tell us a little bit about what you're currently working on musically, or just in life in general. What's going on?
Okay. Yeah, so currently I'm working on a lot of composition for my personal release projects for me to release under my name.
Oh, wow.
As an artist. And also, it's been a little bit of a change in my lifestyle since March 7th. And everything has been, pretty much cut off from my performance world. However, I've been doing a lot of things technologically, and it's going well.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. I know I was talking to one of my musician friends the other day, and he was mentioning how the music industry just simply cannot continue without live entertainment, and how he's struggling with that a little bit. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to continue virtually and with the new technology that's happening.
Oh, really? Yeah, we have the same challenge, of course. And I can't wait to hear some of your stuff that you're working on.
It's totally not the same. It's definitely. It's almost like everybody's starting to reach out because we don't want to forget how to perform live.
Right. I know, it's a scary thing. I've been thinking about that too.
We work a long time and dedicate all these hours to practicing so we can perform.
Yeah.
And now that's been totally taken away, so we can't. And it's really something to not be able to communicate with an audience in the live world.
Mm-hmm.
That's I experience the same thing too, because the stage is a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary of the soul, and all the time that I spend practicing, it fulfills my spirit, but not in the way that when I step up on stage and I know that energy is communicating with other human beings in front of my face. It's like I have a sense of freedom, a sense of purpose. It's like, yes, I was born to play. I'm going to segue into the next question here. We talked a little bit about what you're up to now. With Black Lives Matter and the awareness nationally and internationally around the globe, what is your experience as a Black musician? In the music industry, what is it now?
Yeah.
And is there something that you think our viewers might benefit by knowing?
Well, being a musician and being a musician of color, and just having that desire and aspirations as, from a young child, I never looked at it as something that was an inequality issue when it comes to playing music in my instrument. I was always in a diverse state of mind, because I have heroes from everywhere, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From James Brown to Elvis Presley, when I was a child. So I love everything. And when I became an educator, after years of, study and everything and traveling and performing live, as an educator, one thing that I did notice is that I chose to want to educate musicians that were, from an inner city perspective, because I felt like I could help them because of everything I had went through myself. And I wanted to share some of those same types of successes with them and try to lift them up so they'll be able to also, become whoever they want to be.
Right.
And one thing I noticed back in the 90s, when I first started teaching full-time, I was teaching at a high school. And I noticed that a lot of children were coming to class, and one in particular was on medications. And he was diagnosed with ADHD. And one time I had a conversation, this before I even knew he was on meds. And I had a conversation with his mother. She was a parent, and she was a single mother.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Thank you, Mr. Estrada, for helping me with my son, this, that, and the other." And I have him. He's been diagnosed with ADHD and all this stuff. And I was like, Oh, I didn't know that. And, you know, and so she said, and I had him on Ritalin and things. I said, get him off of that, please get him off of that immediately, because I had studied the side effects of these drugs and things. And I said, that could have long-term side effects that would not be, you know, desirable in your child later on in life. So I felt like the child was, you know, had a lot of potential, and he did not need to be on medication. So later on, I as I went on and you know, started researching how the educational system was handling situations with inner cities children. I found out that they were putting a lot of children for basically like things that was nothing back in the day for me. I mean, you know, some forgetting your pencil or not doing your homework. They would send them to the office and start putting them on saying that you need to be in special education and things like that, and those kind of things, and eventually, and then start putting them on these medications, you know.
Serious?
So I started doing a lot of research, and I felt like this is really totally wrong, and I would love to have been, you know, in a position to actually give them another perspective, or to try to divert the situation to the point where these children wouldn't being abused with these medications from the pharmaceuticals and things like that.
No
kidding.
kidding.
To me, they were the only ones that really benefited from that.
Wow.
And so before I got in, let me back up just a little bit. Before I got into teaching in the high school, I thought it was, you know, being a parent as well, I thought it was like, okay, well, if some students don't do well, maybe it's the teacher's fault.
Oh yeah, I see.
So when I became a teacher, I said, this is interesting. They're not asking me to teach what I was trained in college. They want me to teach this standard that's new. At that time, it was No Child Left Behind, and it was like, really? You want me to teach what's on this board? It's a standard in my classroom, and it has nothing to do with engagement or, you know, really developing your mind intellectually. I'm teaching music, which is highly intellectual, right? So I'm like, okay. And so when I got into this situation, and I said, well, okay, so the teachers are being pigeonholed here. And I would look around, you know, my colleagues teaching math and English, and they all had to teach to a certain standard. It was almost like we're not really teaching from our heart. We're not teaching, you know, we're not edifying the learning process with our knowledge base, but we're kind of restricted to these certain standards. And I was like, okay, well, these standards are not even appropriate for. It doesn't make sense
for early childhood development.
So I brought that to the attention to so after I found out it wasn't the teacher's issue or problem with the students not learning, I took it to the next level. I said, okay, well, it must be the administration. And I started talking to administrators and principals and things like that, and found out that they were giving directives from superintendents and people like that. And so so I went to the next level. I kept searching. I started looking at the superintendent and seeing I traced it all the way up to Sacramento, which was they have a chief chancellor over the school system. But then I went even further than that and looked at the Secretary of Education. I said, oh, okay, this is where it ends. It's the government actually implementing these different things to certain areas in certain communities that are totally different from like Woodland Hills or maybe Torrance or things like that, where it's more affluent people. And I found out that there was definitely a different standard of education.
Wow. So Harvey, that's actually a perfect segue into my next question for you. It's about you being a professor, a music professor in Compton College. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the experience you've had working in that area specifically, and sort of the opportunities or the lack thereof that are part of the educational institutions out there.
Yeah, so I feel, first of all, the Compton College position that I'm in, people tell me that it was tailor-made for me. when I first started in 2000 there at the school, hip hop was really powerful on the streets. So I would get a lot of students that were not really coming to college for anything but music,
Wow.
commercial music.
That's the best.
However, I was able to show them the importance of having a well-rounded education. So I became a mentor to a lot of people and a lot of students, and more like a father figure, you know, male and female. And so I didn't realize the depth of the deficiency of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was just given of myself. I wasn't, you know, selfish or anything,
Right.
and I didn't really hold back when I was a teacher.
Harvey, can you speak a little bit on that, the deficiency in the community that you mentioned, and this idea that they're not getting, you know, the same opportunities that you think they deserve, and how you're helping them with that?
Yes. So around 1978, 9, 80,
Mm-hmm.
there was a drug epidemic that came into our community that was just tolerable.
Right.
I noticed it was a change when Ronald Reagan became president. He started implementing certain propositions and things like that. They started taking away, around the same time the drugs came in, they were taking away like jobs, like for kids, like, you know, because when I was coming through, I was able to work at parks and, you know, work for lunch programs. Well, they took those whole lunch programs, and they took the whole, those like opportunities for kids to play sports and have summer programs. All of the sports and programs and the music and everything just disappeared. So when I came back from college, I was like, this seems like a foreign country. I mean, what happened to, you know, all the opportunities? What happened to the books, the instruments, the park programs? What happened to all those things?
Yeah.
And they just kind of like magically went away, but they were replaced by these gangs. Well, the gangs were there, but they were fighting with their hands. But now the gangs were promoting and distributing drugs. But now they had artillery.
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually lost a family member that was really young with a drive-by shooting in 1988. You know, I was just saying to myself, this is so sad. You know, this is so sad. This is the result of the 9 years of them coming in and bringing all these drugs and turning everybody, all the kids, into drug dealers. And then, so what happened was, now all of that, those same people that was in that you know was affected directly with that, and I had members of my family, those people are grandmothers now. So a lot of my students in college, parents were victims of that.
Wow.
So that means that they either were not raised properly, or they were raised by a grandmother or an elderly grandmother or aunt or something like that. They were just kind of like displaced out of their families, or they went into the system and became part of the childcare system, where it's all about money at that point.
Right.
And so a lot of those became my students. So I felt it was necessary to take on the parenting role,
right,
and try to correct some of those things. And they would listen to me because I didn't talk like a regular teacher, because I knew how to speak their language.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? Because I'm from where they're from.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
just
so
one of the lucky
important.
ones that missed that window when I got out. And then, you know, it wasn't as dangerous when I came through as it was when, you know, 3 or 4 years after I graduated.
Right,
Wow,
right.
yeah.
And so I was able to speak their language and everything, and they would listen to me, you know.
Yeah.
And so I showed them a different way. I said, hey, I'm from the same place you are, but this is what you can do if this comes around. And, you know, it's a better way. You just have to apply yourself.
That's so cool, because even in education, even in everyday life, it always takes us back to the same idea that we are all human, and we can connect on a basic human level and find those human commonalities in order to learn from each other. I think that's so beautiful what you're doing with these kids.
Oh yeah, and to be able to share old school, I mean, to be able to share the values that really only blossom when they can be cultivated in a family way, in a humane, wholesome way. Once that community starts to dissipate, we need to reinstill those values somehow, some way. And as an educator, as a teacher, man, it's so good to hear about that. You know, we've known each other for some years, and I didn't know you went through all this stuff.
Well, the sun would rise and she measured time. The boy she raised on the family of mine. And her daddy'd smile and his eyes would shine. She thought he'd be there for all time. She measured his grave with a tearful eye. Then she measured his home in the deep blue sky. It just don't make no sense at all to put a heart so big in a place so small. 'Cause the measure of a man's not measured in gold, not measured in the things that are bought or sold, not measured in the mud of his poker hand, not measured in the size of his pension plan. The measure of life in the master plan, the measure of love is the measure of a man.
So Harvey, you know, you got a unique point of view, not only for your own education, but as now being a music professor for a while. Gradually, over a period of years, music has been taken out of schools. The arts are not funded as much as they used to be, and consequently, there's a lot of the value and human growth and development. I think those opportunities are missed by taking the arts out. And you said something in our last preliminary interview that I wanted to read. You said whether you're a musician or a doctor, if it weren't for music, a lot of us wouldn't be where we are today. I thought that was like heavy. and so, you know, if you could say just a little bit about that.
My personal experiences was this in music. Music was kind of an outlet for me. In my household, when I got into the orchestra when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I never got out of the orchestra after that till today. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it helped me through life big time, you know. And but I was in certain subjects that I wasn't doing so well in. Okay. Mm-hmm. In science and in math and things like that. So when I got to college, I started experimenting. I started taking these other courses, you know, these foreign language courses. I took a physics course in acoustics. Yeah. And I took a biology course. And I started looking, and I was in these courses, but my music courses was like 10 times harder, right? And I was in these courses, and I was like, wow, I could have been this. I can succeed in these courses, you know. What I learned is that the IQ that I must have gotten from my music courses got my IQ up high enough to really deal with any subject. And so later in life, I started exploring that more.
I could totally relate to that. As a music teacher and educator myself, my students, not all of them, a small percentage of them will go on to become professional musicians. But the discipline, and not only the mental discipline, how it organizes thought, how it focuses attention, but also the ability to express self, mm-hmm. to feel this inner confidence, to be who you are when you sing or when you play, that moment right. of identity that says it's okay to be alive. Right. It's okay to be me. And there's a certain place that you gain from that musical experience that lets you, that gives you the courage to step into other environments. And it's not a surprise that we feel this way about music. if you think about the history of music, all the way from the Greeks through the Middle Ages and up to some time, music was considered not one of the arts, but one of the sciences.
Also, as you know, part of what we're doing with the show is we're getting different options, or we're looking at the different options or the different plans each party is presenting for certain issues leading up to the presidential election. So now let's just take a look at some of what each party is doing in terms of education. So Harvey, my question for you is, how do you feel that this upcoming election is going to affect not only your life as a music educator, but also the lives of your students?
It's like things doesn't come easy for people that are from poor communities. They have to work and they have to understand, they have to have a plan in achieving those goals. And education is one of the simplest ways to get there, because if they broaden their knowledge base, then they have a lot of more things to look at in as far as options.
Yeah.
When you take those things away, or when you put a Secretary of Education in there who is also a billionaire, there's nothing wrong with being a billionaire, but you have to be sensitive to your constituents.
Again,
and you have
that
to
human
understand
connection.
the needs of the people. And you can't really understand that if you've never cared to research it.
Yeah.
Or to, at least walk around. Let's go walk around some of the schools in DC or in Atlanta, or, different rural areas, and see exactly what they need. You might want to say, okay, forget this being a Secretary of Education. Let me just use some of my billions to help these people, help these children.
We do want to share this with so many people. We do want to give that point of view and give people the chance to feel the common ground, that we all share in this discussion about the future of our country and our world. We really want to raise all of us, not just some of us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the decision and the choices we have to make in this next election are. What direction are we going to do to raise all of us, not just some of us?
And now on to more music.
The idea behind this song, I think, supports part of our discussion here today, about music education, how important it is, and how not only does it develop, people and give them more of a sense of humanity and develop their intelligence, but I think that it does something even beyond that. It helps us see beyond boundaries, beyond prejudices, beyond color, beyond race, beyond religion. When a person shares a song and feels the culture of the Caribbean, or feels the culture of the rhythm of Africa that moves through the city of Detroit, that comes out in Motown, that we feel these influences that are historical and current, and we appreciate the cultures that they came from in a new way. And so this particular song, pays a little bit of a tribute to that, and it also talks about class struggle for music, because we all know that being professional musicians, it's a tough go in our culture. We have to work hard to make a living. So that's the song that we're going to feature today. Someone's got to play the music.
Yes, it is. And for our audience, make sure you stick around to watch the video, because you'll see Harvey playing his bass guitar in there.
and appreciate you joining me on this, Harvey. It's going to be good.
So tell us a little bit about this song. What is it about? What's the story?
Well, it's about what we're talking about today. Big conversation on how important music is, how it changes people's lives, and how it changes the circumstances that we live in, and how we can't live without it. And this is a particular tune I wrote that goes back to my earlier days when I just got married to little Jean. We lived in North Long Beach, and we were having some financial problems at the time. And so one night we heard a knock on the door, and I went to the door with my guitar in hand. I opened it up, and there was a guy there, a couple guys, to repossess my car. Whew. So I was pretty upset. I invited him in. He came in, which is even more amazing. Maybe it's because I look so disarming with my guitar, I don't know. But we came into the living room and we sat down on the floor there because we didn't have much furniture there at the time, and just a big cushion for the living room. We all sat down and we talked a little bit about things. I told him I was having a hard time because I'm a musician and work was a little bit slow at the time. And then I sang him a couple songs. And he listened to another one, he listened to another one. And at the end of just a short period of time, he looked at me and said, "Look, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not taking your car today." He said, "But there'll be some people back that will try to take it. So I recommend that you take your car and you park it about a half a mile from the house and walk home after work every day. When you catch up on your payments, you can move it back into the driveway." And he said, "Good luck and thanks for the music." And so I wrote a song about that very experience, and it's called "Someone's Got to Play the Music." Imagine life without a song, no radio to carry on, someone's got to play the music. They all say quit, it just don't pay. I know we'd all regret the day because someone's got to play the music. The finance man may take away my car, but I dare that man to try and take away my guitar. So I'll play my tune and sing my rhymes for all of man and womankind, because someone's got to play the music. Let's talk about that. Come on, Harvey, play it for us. May take away my car, but I dare that man to try and take away my guitar. 'Cause they all say quit, it just don't pay. I know they'd all regret the day because someone's got to play. Someone's got to play. I got to play the music. Yeah. Yeah. So we want to, we talk about so many serious things.
That's a hit. A hit song.
It's a good one, right?
We can let people hear it, and it's a light, smiling, happy way to look at something serious. So
Harvey, before we end our time with you, is there anything else you'd like to add that you'd like to leave with our audiences today?
Well, it's just happy. I'm just happy to be here and be a part of this project. I want to thank you guys, from my heart, that you would take the time to, want to address some of these things that we talked about today. Mm-hmm. I think they're very important, and it's great to, to have friends like yourselves, and, and you guys are such great humanitarians, and it's inspiring to know that you're out there working for us, and we're gonna make this happen,
Yes.
regardless of our the people around us that may be trying to hold us back. But I think when people get together, like ourselves, that we can make a serious impact on any type of negativity out there, and we will be able to change the world one day through our
Wow.
music.
Woo, that's right, my brother.
That was a perfect way to end this. Harvey,
Thank you so much. Okay, and I can't wait to see you on YouTube.
Thank you so much for
I'm
your
looking
time,
forward
Harvey.
to it, you guys. Thank you.
So, my dad, we made it through another episode.
It's a good one, too.
And we thank you guys so much again for being here. My name is Janissa De Castro.
My name is Gregg Decastro.
And this is One World, One People, a musical revolution. So make sure you come back next week. Come back to our YouTube channel. Join us again for another very special guest. And just as another reminder, we are taking donations for this episode. So make sure you click on that link, donate to them, and also join us again next week.
Yes. So God bless you all. Peace, and let's find our common ground.